It's the end of an era today, and I'm going to tell you about it in this video. As you can see, the bookcases are, well, this big is fully empty. We're in the middle of emptying the one next to it, and everything is packed up in these boxes, ready to go. Oops, sorry about that. Zoom. I don't have my normal filming setup because obviously we're in the process of leaving here. So yeah, let me tell you what's happening, what's going on, and what's next. So in February of this year, as some of you know, maybe many of you know, but actually probably most of you don't know, I left the bookshop where I was working at. I'd been working there for 7 years and set up my own business selling rare books and manuscript. That set up at the end of February but didn't launch until April. And at the same time, I started posting content properly on this YouTube channel again. And you know, the growth that we've seen and you coming along that journey has been such an amazing part of trying to grow the business and sell books and get this going over the last 6 months. All of that has been happening from our spare bedroom at home. All the books have been in this room. All the packing supplies that you don't see off camera because they're hidden away have been in this room. I've been packing every single book I've sold on this desk in front of me. I've been sat here editing videos, cataloguing books, and sometimes, I have to confess, not going out the house properly for days on end and going a little bit crazy. So I made the decision earlier this year that I wasn't going to stay here forever. I couldn't work from home forever, and the business thankfully was growing in a way that just meant that this wasn't practical. Because of the setup, it's quite hard to do things efficiently. So if I have a good day of sales and 10-15 orders come in, I'm packing, you know, quite a lot of quite valuable books on a small desk here, you know, amidst everything else. So it was time to scale up. And there's a few things you can do when you're in this business and you're looking to grow or do something different or change location. And one is to open a shop. That's what people traditionally would have done. They would have found a busy high street with high footfall in a well-heeled area where you'd get lots of potential customers walking by, and you'd open a shop there. And I thought about doing that, and I looked at several shops near me. But if I was going to open a shop and have to run it 6 days a week, that's a very different operation to the one I'm running. Realistically, if I opened a shop in, you know, Oxford, which is my nearest town, that's a 7-day-a-week operation and, you know, multiple members of staff. And I would, you know, very selfishly miss out on, among other things, my daughter growing up. She's 10 months old, and working from home during the first, you know, nearly year of her life, for the majority of that, has been an incredible privilege. So I didn't want to disappear from her life or my wife's for the sake of building the business. And so what I've done instead is I've signed the lease on a beautiful office which can function, which can fill some of the functions that a shop can without, hopefully, unrealistic demands on my time. So it's a beautiful space in a beautiful old manor house. I'll have once we're fully moved in and up and running, I'll put everything on my website so that people who want to visit can come and visit. But the whole idea is this is a space where you'll be able to come. You can see books in person if you're interested in buying them. You can get a feel for them. You can, you know, we can talk about book collecting. If you have books to sell, it's a place where you can come and sell them as well. And just give the business a home that isn't my home, And that will also give me a huge amount of quality of life back. If you watch my vlogs when I'm trying to sell X books in a week or whatever, you'll know I keep stupid out working hours, working way past midnight most days a week. And hopefully that having an office a couple of miles away will be a bit of a control on that and help me get back some of my life. Anyway, that's what we're doing, and while we're doing it, I'm really, really excited to share this journey with you. This has been a very rambly introduction, so I don't think there's many of you left, but what we're going to do in this video, we're going to go over to the office now, and I'm going to show you the space empty, and then we'll come back here, finish packing up the books, and the removers are coming over in a few hours to help us get everything over there. So I'll see you in a bit. So this morning is the morning of the move, and I'll show you inside the office. Obviously, there's nothing in here yet, except for one piece of furniture, and that's over here. It's inset into this mahogany table, and it's a scrolling reproduction of the Bayeux tapestry. So if I do that, you can see we go all the way along. So no bookcases yet, but if you've got one of those, I'd argue there's not really much furniture you really need. We're in a beautiful location here in rural Oxfordshire. When we look outside, amazing views of the gardens. So what I need to do now is go back home, finish packing up my books. This is probably really echoey, I just realised. And then the removal people will be over later to bring the bookcases and the books over today. And then we need to work out how we're going to furnish this place. But first things first, let's go home and finish packing the books. So that was a long day. It's now 6:30, but the important thing is the bookcases are built, and we had to deconstruct the large bookcase in its entirety in order to get it out of my study and over here. But that's now rebuilt, and behind me, our second bookcase here, all of the books are there ready to go. The Bayeux tapestry is still here, standing strong. And I hope you can see now that this is going to be an amazing space for people to come and see books and engage with and get excited about book collecting. So the job for the rest of the week, fill this with books, get some furniture in, and show you the finished product. So I'll be back with an update tomorrow. Good morning. As you can see, it's an absolutely awful day out here, as you can see behind me and by the rain-drenched me on camera. We have some updates in the office. I'm sat at a desk and a desk chair. We still don't have filled bookcases yet, and if we look over here, there's still books waiting to unpack. But what we're waiting for is I've bought a bookcase that's going to go in that alcove there to house my reference library, and I'm picking that up tomorrow. And then once that's here, we're probably in a position where we can start to unpack. So that's the plan. I've come to the office today for two reasons. Firstly, in some good news, there's some orders that people have made through my website, and the books obviously are in some of these boxes. So we need to pick those out, and I'll show you what those are. But also, I bought this morning this box of books down here. So I thought I'd show you those and tell you about those as well. The collection that I bought is a Tolkien collection, a really, really lovely one at that. So if I take all of these out and show you inside them. So one hotly requested book that we can find in here is an India paper edition of The Lord of the Rings in the original box, and of course the text of what would normally be the 3 volumes of Lord of the Rings in this one beautiful volume. The person that I bought from actually was telling me something that my good friend Trotter, who you might know from the Tolkien Collectors Guide, told me as well, is that they actually used their India paper edition
as their reading copy, which is super helpful because you can take it places. You know, you can stick it in your bag, take it on holiday, take it on the train, because it's nice and light in just one volume. So that's a lovely thing. In this bubble bag, we have not one but 2 copies of the Puffin edition of The Hobbit. Again, a really, really lovely thing, much sought after, and things that I always try and get hold of when I can. The condition here of actually both volumes isn't too bad. It's very, very difficult to get it in nice condition. You see there's a little bit of wear to the base there, but in general terms, I'd say decent copies. My favourite things in here, so I'll tell you about this last. In this box here, we've got a few different things. We've got the deluxe poems and stories in a box, the same style as the India paper Lord of the Rings. We have a first edition of the Adventures of Tom Bombadil, and we have one of those lovely suites of Tolkien cards. This one is from the Lord of the Rings, which means that it has my favourite Tolkien illustration, probably my favourite Tolkien illustration of all time in it, which is number 3 in this sequence. And although this seems to be slightly out of order, so let me just nip through and find it for you. I mean, they're all beautiful, but for me, nothing compares to Lothlorien in spring. Next up, we have 2 different things in this box. We have a first edition of the final volume of The History of Middle-earth, The Peoples of Middle-earth, in really nice condition. And then this item, which is often quite sought by Tolkien collectors. This is the report on the excavation of the prehistoric Roman and post-Roman site in Lydney Park, Gloucestershire. And you might think, why is that of interest to anyone? Well, if I turn you here, you can see that this contains Tolkien's essay on the name Nodens. The penultimate box I'm going to open houses something that I've shown you on this channel before, and every time I show it, I get a flood of requests from people wanting to buy it. This is very, very nice indeed. It is the super deluxe edition of The Children of Hurin. It's in beautiful condition. It was bought by the collector that I purchased this copy from when it came out, so it's still in absolutely marvellous condition. They were sold sequentially, so 500 copies. This is number 59, so you can see he was quite early to the party, and signed, of course, by Christopher Tolkien and Alan Lee. And last, but by no means least, this is one of my favourite things I've had recently. It's a bag of rags, as you can see. Absolutely awful. But this is a book of Latin prose composition for use by middle form students in English schools. And this has a wonderful provenance, because when we look here, we can see inscribed on the front 3 end papers over and over again the name of Tolkien's son Michael Tolkien, all across both end papers. The earliest inscription is January 1933, when he would have been quite young, but we also have inscriptions from when he was at the Oratory School, which is actually just down the road from me, in the late 40s and 50s. But the most special thing about it, we even have more inscriptions there, is that this is a book that was used by Michael Tolkien, and it's incredibly heavily annotated by him throughout the book. So this really is quite a special thing. So we have, for example, here, exercise 92, you have a passage from the Labours of Hercules in English, and then Michael Tolkien has translated it into Latin. So that's a really special, unique Tolkien item. I know there's going to be an extraordinary amount of interest in it. It will probably have already sold by the time this video goes out. But in case it hasn't, if I've had a busy week, drop me a message and I can send you details. So that is those books unpacked. I need to do something about the lighting in here because it's a very severe light. You can see up here we've got this beautiful moulded plasterwork on the ceilings, but the lights are really severe and I can see it messing with my camera. I don't know if I need to change the like frames per second to not get that interruption or what, because that's not my area. But anyway, next job, we've unpacked the Tolkien books. We now need to find the books that have sold on my website and get those back home, because all my packing material is still at home. All that stuff is going to come over here later today or tomorrow, but it's really important to get these orders out today. So I'll do that now and update you in a little bit. Okay, so let me give you a quick rundown of the books that people have inquired after. I might just raise you up a bit so that I'm not talking to you from a really weird camera angle. So, things that have sold. We have a first edition of The Secret Garden. I had that at the York Book Fair. I thought it might sell at the York Book Fair, but it's sold after the fair on my website. This is lovely. Joseph Jacobs' edition of the Fables of Bidpai, which are also known as the Panchatantra, a famous collection of Indian folk tales that were all tales about animals. So this is a beautiful edition that came out in 1888. And then finally we have this Monstrelet's Chronicles in this rather handsome binding. In 2 volumes. This covers the early 15th century, and Enguerrand de Monstrelet was actually present at the interrogation of Joan of Arc by the Duke of Burgundy. So that's a lovely thing as well. And also I've picked out the Velvet Bible and Book of Common Prayer. You may have seen in the previous video, as someone wants some more information about those. So that's me done at the office now. I need to get home, pack the parcels that are going out, get back to inquiries, sort my stuff out so that I'm ready tomorrow to bring everything over here, and then hopefully we can start making this our new home. I'm really, really excited. So I'm back at the office with another update for you, and things are starting to come together. We put the shelves in these 2 bookcases this morning, and also we got over here our bookcase for our reference library, or at least as much of it as will fit in here. So that's here ready to go. So I'm in the process of unpacking all of these boxes, which is my reference material, far more reference material than actual stock, as you can see, but hugely necessary, of course, for research and bibliography and so on. So yeah, today's unpacking that and then working through hopefully this pile of stock on the desk. So I'll get packing and hopefully update you a little bit later with the place looking a lot more together. So we're nearly there. Pretty much all of the reference library is unpacked, and in this case here there's still some overflow 4 boxes down here. So I'll have to decide what we do about that. It might be that we need yet more bookcases. All of my stock that's for sale is going to be on display in these main bookcases. So there's much more space to sort of show off each book individually and have, stands and signs with their descriptions. If you want a sneak peek, this shelf here is all uncatalogued stuff. I almost have as much stuff waiting to be added to stock as I do that's already in stock. That's just the to and fro of the business. So my job for the rest of the week is going to do that, going to be doing that and sorting that out, as well as finding a bit more furniture to help make this place a bit more homely. I want it to be a place where people can come and get excited about book collecting in a relaxed and casual environment. So, we've got all this space in the middle of the room. This is quite a wide angled camera, so the room probably looks bigger than it is, but even so, there is loads of space that we can hopefully do something fun with, some sofas, coffee tables, that kind of thing. And of course, my big job is to find a nice big packing table to go in this alcove here to help us get all those orders packed up and sent off where they need to be around the world. So I'll sign off the video here. A quick thanks to you guys. I've been sharing this journey since, the early spring of this year of building this business from scratch. If you've watched from the beginning, you'll have seen the weeks where I was fighting tooth and nail to barely survive the week, frankly. And, now we're really lucky to be at a stage where we can move into this new space, great new space for filming content for you, but also for, introducing more people to book collecting. So I'm so grateful. It's thanks to all of you watching and those of you, of course, who have bought books from me as well. So yeah, thank you. It feels really great to be in here, and let's keep the journey going and growing together. I'll see you next week.